I gotta wait for Terry.
Exactly 7.
Terry's ready. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer and salute to the flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Terry.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 24th day of July 2017 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Kilpatrick.
Here.
Lembo. Here. Melendez. Novak.
Here.
Okay, approval of minutes. I move that the following minutes be approved, subject to correction. The April 26, 2017 receipt of bids. May 1st, special meeting. May 3rd, 2017, special meeting, COA and executive session. May 22nd, 2017, Snooker's transfer hearing and executive session. May 22nd, 2017, regular meeting and agenda session. June 6th, receipt of bids. And June 12th, regular meeting and agenda session.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yes.
Grillo.
Yes.
Kilpatrick.
Yes.
Lembo.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
At this time, I'm going to ask the chief to step up, say a few words. We are swearing in 3 officers.
Got to put mic up.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's with the greatest pleasure and pride that I get to introduce you tonight to, right now, 2, if not 3 of our newest officers this evening. One of the best things that we can do is start our process by introducing to you each officer, and that starts the bond between officer and community. But the most important part of tonight takes place in about 2 minutes with each officer, and it's a very short ceremony, but it's the oath of office. But it is the most solemn of acts that these officers can take, because it is that moment that they promise to you, that solemnly that they're going to uphold the laws, and they're going to do it in an ethical and highest standards that they possibly can. And I know that it is an honor to them to do that, and to do it for you, our community. So I'm going to ask our first officer to come up with his family, and that's Kyle Krzyzanowski. And for our second officer, I'm not sure we're going to have enough room for everybody who's family members tonight because I see it's quite a packed house for that. But our next officer is Patrol Officer Charles Novak. And last but certainly not least, and he was out on a call. We weren't sure he was going to make it this evening, but we pulled him off that call. Patrol Officer Michael Plumacher.
Congratulations, all the best, and be safe out there. Should I start reading it? Okay.
Do you want to do that right now? You want to do that right now? 'Cause I know a lot of people here. All right, at this point, we do have to go into a closed session, so I'm going to have our attorney read a resolution.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore by the mayor and council of the Borough of Sayreville, the public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 10 minutes to discuss the following matters: litigation and personnel. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, which relative to the matter to be discussed cannot be reasonably estimated due to the ongoing nature of the subject matters. The resolution shall take effect immediately.
Need a motion?
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes?
Grillo?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Limbo?
All right, we will be approximately 10 minutes and we'll be out to finish our agenda.
Here, we gotta go back here today. Please sign it. Oh, this was yesterday's. I'm doing much better, thank God. Sorry. afraid to pour any more water with you around, Mike.
After a year.
What do you want me to do with?
Welcome to my other world.
I'm gonna get writer's cramp. Sorry, Tim. This gotta go, I don't know. Can I have the water? I'll put it over here. I'll put it by,
Okay, is there a motion?
spill it.
To
Move to open, reconvene.
So
Thank
moved.
you, Terry.
All in favor?
Aye. So moved.
Opposed? Okay, next order of business.
We have the public hearing on the following ordinances. Ordinance number 370-217, bond ordinance providing for various road improvements for the Borough of Saraville, New Jersey, appropriating $3 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,850,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing part of such appropriation.
At this point, I'll open the public portion to ordinance 37217. Are there any comments regarding ordinance 37217? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the public portion be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 373-17, an ordinance to supplement and amend Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-6, through streets, stop intersections, and yield intersections, subsection 7-6.1, through streets of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville, designating Whitehead Avenue and Rose Streets a three-way stop.
At this point, I'll open the public portion for ordinance 37317. Are there any comments for this ordinance? If none, entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we move the public portion be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Grillo,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 374-17, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance number 258-14, an ordinance fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2013, 14, 15, 16.
At this point, I'll open up the public portion to 37417. Mr. Streck?
Streck, 58 Nickel Avenue, Saraville. This ordinance will approve or disapprove the position of Superintendent of Water Department.
That would be on
Yes.
the consent agenda.
Yes.
The ordinance,
Yes.
yes.
The ordinance.
The salary
Yes.
for that position.
Okay. How many employees are employed by the Water Department at the present time, approximately?
Say with the water department, about 25.
25 employees. At the present time, you have a director of the Water Department, you have a supervisor of the clerical and billing staff, you have a supervisor of the water section of the Water Department, and you have a supervisor of the sewer department. So you have 4 supervisors supervising 24 people. 4 supervisors supervising 24 people. Now you want to create a superintendent of the water department at, it's in very fine print, $95,000 to $115,000 a year. If it is approved, is he going to start at $95,000 or will he start at $115,000?
Mr. Streck, the position is going to be filled by an employee that's from the water treatment the department division right now.
Right.
Okay, and he's going to act as a coordinator underneath the director between the water treatment and the Duhernal well fields, and I guess the as well as the distribution people out on the street. But it's not an additional we're not hiring an employee from the outside to take that position.
I understand that.
It's going to
but-
be like a sort of like a promotion for the employee. It's going to be additional responsibilities.
I understand that, but what is the duties of the director?
They oversee the water and sewer department.
He's in charge of both
Right.
departments.
When we took on Duhernal, though, there's another level of responsibilities that need to be taken care of. and
Which
that's
he
what
has
that
to
was.
have knowledge of also, being that he's the director.
Sure.
Okay, so why can't he handle that part of the position? My point is this: the governing body in the past has given new appointees the maximum salary and new employees. They didn't start at the low part of the salary. They started at the high part and gave him the highest salary. Is that going to happen with this employee?
I don't know when that has happened. We went to the top right away.
This employee already is currently probably on the bottom of this scale, somewhere on the bottom of this scale. He's making within this scale right now. So I don't know what the agreement was with the business administrator and this employee, but it is promotional, so he will be getting some increase, so.
I understand that, but my point is there are going to be 5 supervisors in the department for 24 people.
This was put in there, unless I'm mistaken, again, like Danny said, because we now we actually have people that work down in Old Bridge at the well fields down there. So we need like a supervisor that will be down there. They won't be working up
Yeah,
here.
this particular position is primarily dealing with the water treatment plant, coordinating a water treatment plant with the Duhernal well fields. As you know, the Duhernal well fields are in Old Bridge,
Right.
quite a distance away. So his main responsibilities are going to be to coordinate the efforts of those two areas. And he himself has a T4 license.
Which the director doesn't have.
That's correct.
So my point is still, you're creating a position at a very high salary when maybe the duties of that can be transferred to one of the water and sewer department supervisors, rather than have 5 supervisors supervising 24 people. That's my opinion. I think you should look into
Is
it
that
before
currently
you
the
approve it.
structure? Is that currently the structure? 5.
When
Is it say
It's
now?
4, it's 4 right now. This would be creating a 5th supervisor, correct?
Well, I don't know if you can call the supervisor, this is superintendent, so this
Okay.
is over top of any supervisors. This would be in a,
Can I entertain a question that Mr. Schreck asked? Just a little more clarification. You had mentioned making this job and the responsibilities from this particular position to go under the responsibility of the current water and sewer department director, the overall person.
Some of the duties should be going to
Is-
him, yes.
Is that something, because I know when we took on this Duhernal project and what we're doing, this is huge. This was a huge undertaking for us, correct? This is huge responsibility now and a totally different,
that's correct.
is it wise and is it safe and is it manageable for one person to be the water and sewer director and also supervisor, be the superintendent of the Duhernal water treatment plant in this Old Bridge capacity? Is that something that, can that be done, or is that going to turn around and take the water and sewer director away from everything else they're supposed to do? It's a good question.
But
So I want to see if that's.
one of the things that, at the last meeting, I tried doing was to schedule a water and sewer department, but
Yeah.
between the 3 of us and Dan, we couldn't schedule it because of vacations. He gets back this week. I'm gonna ask that we pull this so that we can go over it further.
It's a good idea.
And we could discuss it a little bit further, so everyone on the committee understands it a little bit better, and then we could present it back to the public or not. But at least we have an opportunity as a committee to talk about it.
Good idea.
I also think with only 25 employees within the water and sewer department, with this Duhernal responsibility now, which many people have applauded our efforts for doing that, this has been my concern with Saraville, with all of our departments. One position isn't our issue. I don't know if we should be arguing bringing in one additional person. Ladies and gentlemen, 25 employees for our water and sewer department is nowhere near, I think, what we can adequately provide services for, especially with COA. I'm worried about a whole bunch of things, but your question was duly
Mrs.
noted.
Kilpatrick, I'm going to go back in time a little bit. My
Don't
father
go
wa-
too far.
My father was the first water superintendent in Saraville. 25 years he served in that position. He didn't need any oil help. Saraville at that time had the best water in Middlesex County. And they still use, and you could check with the borough engineer, he probably knows, they still use his diagrams to find sewer lines and water lines.
That scares me that
today.
it hasn't been changed in all of those years that we
That's
have
true.
to
And
rely
you're
on
go-
those things.
You're going to be working on a street right across from the Borough Hall. They're probably going to go back to his diagrams to find them. But that's not my point. My point is still, I think the responsibilities of Duhernal could be put on one of the other 3 supervisors, not necessarily the clerk supervisor, but the water and sewer supervisor. That could be shared with those 2 individuals to save the borough probably $115,000. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to add one other thing. This is not so much as supervising personnel as the technical aspect of it, of balancing what comes out of the ground at what time with what goes into the treatment plant and how it comes out of the treatment plant to be
Can we
given to the
get,
customers. It's you know, it can't be, I think
Handled
it's
by
wrong to look at it as how many people the person is supervising. There's a lot
That's a
of, like
good
I said,
point.
he has a T4 license. He is very knowledgeable of the water system, and I respect your father's knowledge when he was there, but that's the same thing in this case. This employee's been with the borough for at least 20 years. And he's, like I said, he's got the T4 license. He went through all the licensing program over that time. He has a T4 license. He's very familiar with the water treatment plant. And now he's, he's been working on balancing the system between the well field that we acquired and the treatment plant so that there's adequate water for us. And I think so far he's done a very good job. This summer, we have not had a problem with supplying water to the customers, even with the type of heat we've had as late as last Saturday, so.
Well, all I'm asking is the governing body take a close look at this position.
We're going to, and
We're
I'm going to
going
make
to.
the motion that we pull the ordinance so that the committee can discuss it with the business administrator as soon as he gets back.
Thank you very much.
Council President Buchanan, can I
Second.
just ask
Okay,
second?
let's,
Shouldn't
roll
he-
call, Terry?
Councilpersons, Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
I just want to comment, I think it's important that we all recognize that the Duhernal purchase cost us millions of dollars, and so we're talking about a $100,000 position to operate it, a very complicated set of infrastructure. It's a very complicated project, so this is a very important and critical position that we staff. The governing body has been informed of that, and that's why this came up for discussion. But if it's the will of Council President Buchanan, who heads up Water and Sewer, to have further discussion, I will support him on that. So I vote yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes, with comment. I would just like to add one additional thing in the interest of transparency and to make sure that this $95,000, the $115,000 salary is warranted. Can we please have a job description of the duties that this individual will be doing? A full job description?
I know, it was writing. Lembo,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes, I just wanted to point out one more time what Wayne was saying. This isn't an additional position. This gentleman is already making probably over $95,000 in his current position. But I agree with Mrs. Kilpatrick. We should have a job title and, a description of what his, before we vote on this.
We still have the public portion open, though. Anyone else that want to discuss this ordinance? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion only.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to go on to the consent agenda.
No, new business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One more new business.
Sorry, went on to the next one.
Under new business, we need to introduce the following ordinance. Ordinance number 375-17, an ordinance of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, New Jersey, approving the amended application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with MEC Infrastructure Urban Renewal LLC.
Is there a motion, Councilman Lembo?
Yes, Council President. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on August 21st.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Lembo?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Grillo?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to open up the public portion to the consent agenda resolutions. Just taking note at this point, we have to pull 2017 number 226. Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak on the consent agenda resolutions at this time? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion from the body or discussion from the body.
Can we have a discussion on 2017-237? This is the Rutgers Cooperative Extension Floodplain Restoration Implementation Plan, dated June 26, 2017. My question was, at our last council meeting when this presentation was given, as a council, we decided to approve the first year of that plan, which included the plantings of the trees in that particular section of town, that the Shade Tree Commission was kind enough and did their due diligence to have that cost covered by their funds, their budgets. However, that's not for the entire, what is that, 4-year, 5-year plan? And I'm looking at the resolution the way that it is written, and it appears that it may actually be inclusive of the entire plan. I wanted to make sure that we adjust that or amend that. Mr. Dupont, can we look?
You know what? Just to be clear on that, I'll revise the resolution and put it on the next the meeting for that.
Right,
Excellent,
The
thank you.
concern was that we want to make sure that we can get it in the budget, for the budget.
Yeah. We'll just be
But
specific.
this was just the first portion that was going to come from the
Yeah, we'll be
shade tree.
specific on that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion for the
Okay.
consent agenda?
I move the public portion be closed and the consent agenda minus 226 and 237 be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second? Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes?
Grillo?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Lembo?
Yes.
At this point, we're going to open up the public portion for any and all comments. As you can see, we have not discussed or brought up the ordinances regarding COA. The way it's going to go from this point is on August 2nd, the planning board will be having a meeting to discuss the housing plan. They'll bring that plan. If they approve their plan, it would come to this council on August 21st. So on Wednesday, August 2nd, the planning board will meet in this room to discuss the housing plan. So if anyone's here to speak on that, they're more than welcome to come up and speak. But I just want to let you know those dates so that you're aware of them. So at this point, I'm going to open the public portion for any and all comments. Mr. Bashada?
Thomas Bashada, 17 Green Hill Avenue, Parlin, New Jersey. First of all, a complaint. If you would watch SARE TV, the meeting that I initially appeared at is audible. Any meeting that's on SARE TV right now, you can hear the council or the people, if they talk into the mic, saying what they have to say. But if anyone comes to the mic to state their opinions or objections to anything, it's not audible. You can't hear it. And I would recommend that either, it's the same thing with the Board of Education meetings. When you come and you watch it on SARE TV, Channel 15, that you cannot hear the Board of Education meetings either, because you may hear bits and drabs of it, but you cannot hear what anyone's saying. So please look into that, either Optimum or maybe the borough has an issue with who's ever transcribing these meetings and putting them on, that they can check the audio before they allow it to go forward. The second thing I have, there's going to be a couple things. Second thing I have is I have a question about our way our borough council works as far as putting a voter referendum onto during an election. Mr. Dupont, could you explain that to me, please?
Well, there's a process. There are certain deadlines that the statute calls for. There's a certain amount of signatures that are required, and the borough clerk then, once the referendum language is put on, follows certain structures and deadlines.
Form of government.
Right. The form of government is not the Faulkner form of government, correct?
See, because the question I have, I've talked to a lot of people in town. They are going to start with referendums that they're going to have. They have the support of the people in town because, honestly, a lot of people don't like the way this council is going with the mayor. All of it. You know, there's decisions being made up here that are affecting everyone in this town, and a lot of people are angry. I could use other terms because it's the benefit of outside people, and it's not fair to the citizens of this town any longer to be second guessed where a contractor, a builder, or whoever it may be is above us, and it's not fair to I'm a lifelong resident. There's a lot of people sitting behind me that are lifelong residents of this town, and it's about time that I, along with them, feel, and I'll speak for them because I know what they would say, that start thinking of the citizens of Saraville instead of thinking about the contractors. The other thing that I have here, I know you mentioned about, I don't know if you received it in your packet about no constitutional right to affordable housing. Have you received any of this? If not, Terry, could you pass this out? There should be enough copies for everyone. They did get that? Okay, well, maybe they can have it for their... I just want you to read that article if you haven't read it yet. According to the New Jersey Constitution that they had in 1947, there is no guarantee of housing in the Constitution. So when you have a judge that comes in, again, abusing his power to tell towns that you have to have affordable housing, there is no guarantee in the state constitution nor in the federal constitution of the United States that says everyone's entitled to free or any housing. That's the way that's written. If you'll read down there, I think the third paragraph. And you know, we've had people saying about $1,300,000 of fighting. I'll tell you the truth. If it takes, I'll kick $1,000 in so we can fight this. You know, it's just a nonsense that goes on where we allow judges to make laws. Again, read in the Constitution of the United States what the judiciary is supposed to do. They're not to make laws, and we're allowing these judges. Bateman, as a matter of fact, in last Monday's paper, is fighting a ruling, Senator Bateman, Kip Bateman, that a judge made who worked for a contractor, became a judge, and right after he ruled in favor of the contractor, went back working for developers again. I mean, it's a little ridiculous already. So the point is, I think we have a good chance as a town to be the leader and tell these judges, stop making laws. That's what we need to have done here. And I will be there August 2nd at the planning board, and I hope that members of the council show up also. And I hope that you will vote no on this nonsense that's going on with affordable housing, because it's not fair to the residents of Saraville to have something shoved to you when it shouldn't be. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Mike Diadio, and I'm the chairman of Saraville Economic Redevelopment Agency. The judge Mr. Bashad is referring to is Judge Wolfson. He was the assignment judge that ruled on the Coalition on Affordable Housing. Although it's not in the Constitution, the Coalition on Affordable Housing was approved by the state legislature and the state Senate, and it is actually a law. The Supreme Court did rule that we do have to do this. We settled for the number that we have. Unfortunately, the planning board, in its infinite wisdom, didn't tell you guys that you had to build 7 market rate houses to get to that number. And that's not what you guys approved, and it's not in your ordinance. Mr. Bashad is correct that we do have a good fight on our hands. We are going to fight this. At the last Sarah meeting, the commissioners and myself did approve Sarah to be an intervener. Sarah is going to intervene. Mr. Lembo, you were there. You voted for this, as well as Mrs. Kilpatrick. And we are going to intervene, and we are going to have our own housing plan. On August 2nd, I urge everyone to go to the planning board meeting and see what kind of plan they come up with. Because as of this date and as of today, they have still not contacted Sarah or the Housing Authority for our input on any plan. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
I'd actually like to piggyback on that. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I haven't received, I think it's been 42 days by my count since this governing body appointed Susan Gruhl as the secondary planner, paying her $10,000. I have not received a single correspondence from her regarding the plan that we are paying her to produce. I am very concerned about that in a completely nonpartisan way. We are elected to represent the people. She has not contacted us, at least myself, about what I'm in favor of, what my concerns are, what my interests are. Has anyone else had any discussion with her?
I've had countless discussions now with her, with members of Sarah, with as many people that would entertain me, that is a professional in this particular situation. And Susan Gruhl was not the one that was tasked with creating our housing plan. Susan Gruhl was hired by 3 of the members up here. 4, was Ricky here? 4. And you were very clear that you did not want her to come in, and Mr. Lembo, you were very clear, and the mayor was very clear that he did not want a planner coming in to look and review the plan that was put forth by the planning board's planner, Mr. Leon Cavello. So let's be clear on that.
So does my vote to not hire her exclude me from the discussion
No,
process?
but I wanted to, no, I'm not done. This is why we're here. I'll reiterate again. And Mr. Bashad, I do think we have a good fight on our hands now. We did not have a good fight if we did not, the people that voted against this plan back in February, stopped this boat. This was going full steam ahead with 0 input from any resident in this town. Let me explain to people what happened. For 2 years, and this is in the newspaper, the mayor said it, sitting up here, 2 people, quote, the mayor said, "This is an outstanding plan that was worked on for 2 years by his planning board and Mr. Leon Cavella, the planner for the planning board." We had a couple of brief moments of executive board meetings as a council where we were told snippets, bits and pieces, little tiny, not 100% full disclosure of our COA plan. We were told as a council about an overall number. We were never told about every single site that was possibly going to be included, not included. We were never, ever, and still in the housing plan it's not represented, that any of these areas were going to have to be rezoned or increased density would have to be granted. None of that for over 2 years during the planning process and negotiations with the mayor and the planning board, none of that ever came to us until February when it appeared in our packet to be voted on. None of you, 0 resident input, 0 notification went out to any of the people and residents living in these affected areas that were part of this housing plan. Unacceptable. You talk about having referendums and people in town disgusted over what goes on. I'm disgusted. Because you're right, I'm an elected official here to represent you. I couldn't do my job as effectively as I should have been able to because I was not given the facts, the whole facts. I wasn't given falsehoods. I was given only what wanted to be disclosed. Thank God we read. Fast forward now to February. We see this on our plan. We see this to be approved. The minutes of executive sessions were fast. We have to do this now. The judge has to get an answer now. We have to do this. You have to approve it tonight. I have plans in front of me. This is only the first set of 5 housing plans that have been changed in the last couple of months. I don't know what the hell we're supposed to do with that. Because I don't know which one is going to be presented on August 2nd. Every other minute, this plan is changing, and we're supposed to turn around up here as elected official and say, yeah, we support this. It's changed. There's different sites every other day. Yes, Susan Gruhl had to come in because somebody had to slow this down, because I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it, our professionals did not do their due diligence in guiding you and guiding us to make informed decisions. But now we are informed, more so than what we've ever been. How is it that a housing plan, a planning board, and our mayor can put together a plan that's going to impact us forever and never once bring in the two entities of our town, the Housing Authority and the Sayreville Economic Redevelopment Agency, to a meeting to discuss it? Let me say that again. The planning board unilaterally made multiple housing plans and never once consulted our Housing Authority or our Sayreville Economic Redevelopment Agency. Who was steering this ship? That's why you didn't know about it. That's why we didn't know about it. That's why Susan Gruhl is here, because I can't put my faith in the hands of a planning board and the hands of a planner that didn't do their job for over 2 years. If this is an outstanding plan, I sure as hell hate to see what a horrible one looks like. Let me tell you what I was able to find out too. Last meeting, 2 meetings ago, the mayor made a statement and he said, we're a bedroom community. Well, first of all, it sounds quaint. It's a major problem because for 20 years or more, our town has been allowed to be built on by developers for housing upon housing upon housing. We have very, very limited ability to apply for different type of housing. If we continue to build these 7-to-1 market rate to 1 COA unit, we will never be able to apply for different categories of housing or different types of multi-use. Let me try and break it down for you, because I had the most enlightening meeting this past Thursday.
Who'd you have the meeting with?
Sarah commissioners. Sarah commissioners. Because I was tired of waiting to hear what was going to be brought forth here, and I don't trust anybody anymore. So I will seek the information out myself. And if people don't call me back, then I will call them repeatedly until they do. But if we go with one of the housing plans that's put before us, one of the 5, who the heck knows? I can't wait to be surprised on August 2nd to see what we're going to be looking at again. If we build all of these types of houses, we will not be able to earn what's called like a type of credit in order to bring in other types of building for ratables and employment. We right now are, you have to get so many points in order to fulfill, let's say, a mixed use type of thing. Mixed use would be something with like stores and retail and housing. If we keep building just housing, we will not be ever able to get enough credits to do anything other than housing. We won't be able to do some warehouses, some mixed use, and we will forever be stuck as Sayreville, the overpopulated, the overcrowded, the zero infrastructure, and the school district will completely implode, which, by the way, you have to get credits to do different housing. One of those credits comes from your school district. If your school district is overcrowded and if your successes on park scores and stuff go down, you don't get those credits. Right now, every town is fighting to try and get enough credits in order to finance projects like the veteran preference I brought up. I brought that up over a year ago. You know what our planning board did? Nothing. They did nothing to entertain how to make that happen. And this is where our problem is now. All towns are trying to scramble to come up with the right plan. Our town, under our planning board, came up with, and I quote, the easy plan. Get in, get out, get it done, who cares what happens to us? Because of that, we want to do, Sarah signed on as an intervener because Kaplan signed in as an intervener. That gave them the rights to do whatever they want. So smart. Sarah, say what you will on this one, it's a home run. We're slowing the process down to actually have a shot at building something with a veteran preference. But all these other towns are fighting for that same, you have to get money to build these things. You have to get money to finance a project like this. Either we have to bear the burden as a taxpayers, or we have to go out to these different grant programs and these different things the state offers. There's only so many of those programs available, and it's very competitive. So people are fighting to get 10 points, 5 points, 6 points. If another town beats us out and has more points, let's say because they have more transit or more shopping or they have a park, guess what? We lose. And we don't get the financing to do a veteran preference or to do a special needs housing or some other type of supported housing. I'm nervous because our town for so long never entertained these smart ideas. We may be completely out of luck here. We are grappling to find points to get us the ability to present to the judge that we are so serious about doing what's right, that we have an intervener and we have this and we have this. And look, we have 10 points. Please hope that no one else has 10 points or 12 points or 13, because you know what will happen then? Hello, 2,000 market rate units. And that's not because of us. That's not because of me. That's not because of Mary. That's not because of Danny. That's not because of Ricky. That's because our planning board and our mayor endorsed what they thought was an outstanding plan and never brought people to the table that do this for a living and know how to get the job done right. I wanted to bring a bag of lemons with me today. I forgot. Because we are literally holding a bag of 200 lemons. And at the very, very last minute, we are trying frantically to squeeze these lemons to come up with some kind of lemonade. I know that Susan Gruhl is doing her job. She actually found, in analyzing the Housing Authority plan, more credits that we didn't take for senior housing.
I don't want to
Less than a
interrupt the
month.
soliloquy, but I do have a problem here. So you've been speaking to Susan Gruhl.
Yeah.
Councilman Buchanan, have you been speaking to Susan Gruhl?
No.
Councilwoman Novak, have you been speaking to Susan Gruhl?
No, I have not, but I've been speaking to Councilwoman Kilpatrick.
Councilman Lembo, have you been speaking to Susan Gruhl?
No, I have not.
Okay.
And I've been speaking to our attorney, who's been speaking with
To Susan Gruhl.
Okay.
Have you reached out to our attorney?
Have you?
No, I haven't, because I thought that the person we pay to do this work would be actively engaging the governing body that has to approve the plan. I don't say, again, we get back to this transparency question, and I love that you're talking about veteran housing, because veteran preference is very important what suits your needs, but God forbid you hire veterans when you do police hiring. That's a different story, but we all know that. But I'm really, really frustrated. I feel like there are certain people who get certain information through certain channels, and I have not been contacted. Other members have just admitted they haven't been contacted. If you, in the audience, want to buy this that you're hearing, and Councilwoman Kilpatrick is very correct in many of her facts regarding this, but I don't think that there is anything open and transparent. You people, the taxpayers, have paid $10,000 to a planner who was voted on by 4 of my colleagues, who has never engaged myself or the other people that have done that.
Councilman, thank you for your comments. I really do appreciate them. However, if you wanted information, reach out to our attorney. Susan Gruhl is very busy trying to
works
clean.
for
First
us.
of all, excuse me, I was in the middle of speaking.
No. Susan Gruhl works
excuse
for
me.
us.
I am speaking. If you want information, go to our attorney, ask him. Go to Susan Gruhl. I agree. Susan Gruhl will give us a report, but she's so busy at this point
Trying to
trying to
save us.
clean up the problem that we have with the planning board and the planning board plan that I don't expect her to call me or in each individual one of
About
us.
share a
Let's
draft
go
report.
let's go to our attorney who has.
Okay, Mike, 42 days. Do you have a draft report?
No, what we've done in those 42 days that she has been employed, we've had a court appearance. We did advise the judge exactly what we're pursuing. We did also have a meeting where Susan came up with some ideas regarding veteran housing, the credits.
Who attended that meeting?
That was the meeting with
It was
Sarah.
the
It was Sarah.
It was the Sarah
It was
meeting.
the Sarah meeting.
Then
There's
the
been
most
no
im-
other
the
meetings,
most-
no private meetings, no private meetings with the special master, Betsy McKenzie.
No, there was a meeting between myself, Dan Frankel, Mr. Sachs, and Susan Gruhl to bring her up to speed. What we've been waiting on, quite honestly, is the housing plan to be completed by Mr. Leon Cavello. That took an extended period of time.
Understood.
Then there was an initial version that contained some wrong information, then there was just a revised version that just occurred just a few days ago. It has been, Ms. Gruhl has come up with some other alternatives, some proposals, some ideas. So there's no report just because no final decisions have been yet made. I'll be honest with you,
Why should she be making final decisions without approaching us about
No,
them
I
first?
said
You just said no final decisions have been made.
Yeah, I know. So she's made recommendations. I haven't heard anything. There hasn't been a single COA email in over a month from the business administrator.
Can I interject for 1 second?
About
I find
what?
this
I mean, I think
comical.
this is pretty obvious here. We're paying a woman to do work, and there's been no updates. Certainly to me. I don't know who else on this body has gotten updates, but I'm really frustrated. I really am. I don't think that I'm being obtuse about this.
Can I say something?
Let me interject for
I-
one
I
second
just
because
really
I
have-
have to say this, Mary. I find this to be the most ironic and ridiculous statement coming from you, Councilman Grillo. To sit there and say that you have no information, that this hasn't been transparent, yet for 2 years, while this plan was being put together without my input, anyone else's input, you sat on planning. You're a professional planner. You gave the town, the council, none of us an update during the whole time this plan was put forth.
Let's not do
Excuse
this
me.
dance again. This is
No,
been
no,
6
it's not a
months
dance,
of
it's
the-
the truth.
of
If
two
you're
different stories. Come
angry
on.
because you haven't called Susan Gruhl, I can't pick up the phone for you. Pick up
That's
the
it.
phone. If you're angry because you removed yourself from a process listen, you, Steve, you made it clear. You like this plan. Own it, love it, enjoy it. They don't. I don't.
I don't.
She doesn't.
And
You
I am
can love it.
I am ready and willing to listen to her recommendations if they were forthcoming.
Call her.
42 days, and not a single update brought to the council.
You're an elected
No minutes
official.
from, whoa, slow up. Not a single minute from a meeting, no recap of any court hearings, nothing. I mean, you guys can play it off, because listen, we know this is a partisan issue. We know that there are certain people who are involved
This is
in
a
this.
resident
This is a
issue.
residence issue.
Oh, here we
You
go.
talk to
All
the
right,
residents of the
listen,
town.
Listen. What we have to figure out here is, why is there no information coming from the BA, from the attorney? Why? I'm just asking for information.
Ask your
God
planning
forbid we
board
get
where their
information.
housing plan is.
The planning, there's a lot of things going on here, and we are not getting the
There is a
information.
lot of things going on here, Steve. We can agree that. Steve, here's the thing. You can't backtrack here.
Backtrack, and I brought it up.
Yes, but you can't turn around and wash your hands from the mess you had your hand in. For-
Vicky, if I may, at this point.
Vicky, get a clue. Vicky,
First of all,
I am asking.
hold on
I
one
have
second.
one.
At this point, I'm going to nip this in the bud and say, if you want more information, do what any one of us would do up here. Call our attorney. Call our BA.
I
Okay?
deal
So
with
I'm gonna have you
consultants.
reach
I deal
out
with
to Mike, or
consultants
Mike
on
I'm gonna
a
have
daily
Mike
basis.
reach out to you
And I have
and
never
give you
been in a
call,
position
a
where you have to
personal call.
approach a consultant to give you information. I mean, this is what they are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be forthcoming.
They're
and
not supposed to be
provide
calling
you
7
information.
different people. That's why we have.
Steve, if I
The way
might-
email works is you send all the names, and then you send it to everybody at once. That's okay. It is not 7 different conversations.
Steve, if I may, you mentioned 42 days. There was an extensive delay getting the housing plan done properly. I have no problem, as I was just telling Council President and Acting Mayor, Mr. Buchanan. I'll sit down with you tomorrow and go through. I'll bring the big reds. Although I'm not the lead attorney for the Borough of Sayreville, I've been trying to do is stay involved so that I am at least informed, so you haven't asked any questions. So tomorrow, I'll give you a holler. I know I have a meeting with Wayne at 1:30 between my court appearance and 1:30. I'll give you a holler, and I'll sit you down, go through the file.
Has Susan Gruhl written anything down?
No, not yet.
She's literally 42 days, she hasn't written a word about our plan.
No, the only thing that she's been brought up to speed with is the litigation.
It really is like the Twilight Zone. All right, listen. Council President Buchanan, you've asked to move on. We'll move on. Thank you.
Come on up.
Yeah, this is the public portion. We kind of got away from the public.
Charlie Lukey from Melrose. I have a question. Affordable housing in Saraville, the plan up on Oak Street, how many units?
It's been changed.
Well, what's the latest number?
That's what we're waiting for
We're
August
waiting
2nd.
for it.
We're waiting to see what
We
the
don't have
planning
enough-
board's
an
going to put
official
up there
number
on
anymore
August
'cause the-
2nd.
The one thing I'd like to bring up
Everybody
for-
wants information.
for your attention,
You're right.
excuse me.
My apologies, sir.
The one thing I'd bring up for your attention and look into the matter, the average household has 2 vehicles in Jersey, in Saraville, okay? If you're gonna put 100 houses up there, that's 200 cars that you're gonna try to get up on Oak Street any given time of the day. If you think you're gonna try to get out onto the highway, what are you gonna do? You're gonna buy Costa Verde? Because that's the only exit to the highway is through Costa Verde's driveways. I mean, the planning board, these people here should be looking into that, I think.
There's a couple things that I've asked our attorney to reach out to Susan Gruhl about regarding Melrose, something I've talked with Mr. Podolak about regarding the once I heard plan. But again, I've heard it's changed, and again, August 2nd, the planning board's going to submit their plan again. But there's a lot of concerns that I brought to our attorney to reach out to Ms. Gruhl and the other parties regarding the Melrose area.
Yeah, because there's only one road up there. And I don't see you putting any roads in to get out any other way. You can't go down into the railroad because you can't get up on the other side. The parkway's in your way.
Right.
We're
right.
waiting on, I'm waiting in eager anticipation to see what this housing plan's gonna be on August 2nd. We have no idea.
I don't know. Try building a house without a blueprint, you know?
Try putting a shed up.
Yeah.
Right. All right, thank
Or a
you for your
fence.
time.
Yes, sir.
Ken Olszewski, 108 North Edward Street. I've been coming to these meetings about COA since I first found out about it, which is, lose track of time, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. The very first or second meeting that I came to, the question I ask is, and I ask it to Councilman Grillo since he was the planning board liaison last year when most of this activity occurred, is why wasn't information forthcoming to the residents of town? Why didn't we have, if you remember, Councilman, I asked, why wasn't there a town meeting, since this is probably the biggest issue since the incinerator fight in Saraville? And I didn't get an answer from Councilman Grillo. I'm not exclusively lining this at your doorstep, but I ask it because you were the liaison to the planning board. Now,
I'll be happy to answer if you'd like.
I'm sorry,
I'd be happy to answer if you'd like.
go ahead.
Okay. So the reason that there was no town meeting or public consensus, and I agree, I think looking back, the Housing Authority, SERA, maybe some of the environmental committees probably should have been involved. Forthright, I've wholeheartedly supported SERA's plan for veteran housing at River Road. I think it's a great idea. There were limitations, though, in terms of what we could do publicly. I think Mr. Daddio mentioned that this was a legal proceeding, right? This is a law. We were in a contract negotiation with the state. We were not. We're prohibited by our rules to discuss it openly. It has to be done in closed session because it was contract negotiation. So the planning board couldn't have a public hearing on it.
That's not true.
False.
I
That's false.
find,
That's 100%
I
false.
find that a little strange. I sat up here for 6 years, Councilman. I sat for 5 years as commissioner on the Middlesex County's Utilities Authority. I probably attended more freeholder meetings than anybody in Sayreville when we fought the incinerator. I was there meeting after meeting
So
after
I'm going to
meeting.
finish what I
Everybody
was
in the room
saying.
knew my name.
So
I have
I'm
a
gonna
hard
finish- I'm
time.
gonna finish.
I let you talk.
Well, you didn't let me finish, though.
I
You
have
didn't let me
a
finish.
hard time
You didn't let me
saying
finish.
that you couldn't
I'm not
have
gonna do-
had that you couldn't have had a public
I'm a councilman.
meeting.
He's asking me a question. I'd like to finish it.
The public portion.
It's the public portion.
He's now stopped. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, where you did have the opportunity to have public input was when we had the public hearings on these ordinances. And that's why we're in the position we're in now, which is the public hearings occurred, the public did not support the plan. My colleagues asked to not pass the plan. They then asked to hire a new planner, and so we're here today. So there was public input. In fact, the public input was so influential that the original plan has essentially been scrapped.
The original
Wait a
plan
minute,
had to
wait.
be scrapped because it was never noticed.
It was never, it was never
You can't have a
legally
housing
noticed.
plan without notice.
You had a town meeting in Morgan a year ago. I was at it. You're a councilman. You said you're a councilman. You can have a town meeting anytime you want. Information to the public. You don't have to release information.
Apples and oranges, and you know it if you
confidential.
sat up here for 6 years. You know it's not the same thing. A community meeting to talk about economic development and quality of life issues in Morgan's a lot different than a contract
I
negotiation.
disagree.
And
I'm not
I don't-
talking
it doesn't
about
matter.
any
You know it's
negotiation.
different.
I'm
You know it's
talking
different.
about
Come on.
the
All right,
issue
all
that
right.
there is a problem
We don't argue
and there's
with
an issue. And you see, people didn't know what was going on because when they found out what was going on, they lined these council chambers and they were down the sides and they were out in the back. So it's true what Councilwoman Kilpatrick said, that this was done through like a thief in the night. They tried to steal from the residents of Sayreville their quality of life.
Tonight is a night of hyperbole, and you're doing a great job of keeping it up.
That's exactly what they did.
Ken, may I say something?
And what they did, one moment, Councilman, let me just finish this thought. And what happened here, you know, there was a big hit record everybody probably remembers from years back that said something like, raindrops keep falling on my head. Well, the guy that sang that had another song, not quite that much of a hit, but it said, somebody done somebody wrong song. And there is somebody that done somebody wrong, and I think it's the planning board, anybody was there, and the mayor, and the people that tried to defend it in that ridiculous article that was already quoted up here, that the mayor said they did a great job. That's kind of like, it's the old strategy about war. When you're losing the war, you pull out and you declare victory. But nobody in this town is dumb enough to believe that that was the case. Believe me, it was nonsense then. It's still nonsense when you try to defend it. We're starting to do the right thing. As Councilwoman Kilpatrick said, we hope it's not too late, because this stuff was all signed off on with a judge before anybody in town knew about it. Yeah, somebody done somebody wrong.
I just like to say, where the housing plan was supposed to be done with the planning board before it ever came to us. We put the cart before the horse. The planning board was supposed to have a public meeting on this housing plan and notice people. They never did any of that. We're doing that now, but it's after the plan's already been approved.
We had to pull
This
the
was
housing
done
plan.
us backwards.
We had to pull the housing plan, if you remember, at the last meeting, because they didn't notify the people whose houses and lives and developments are going to be impacted. They were supposed to do that.
They did
years ago. They were supposed to do that the moment they came up with the first housing plan. This is so wrong, people. So wrong. We at least stopped it, and we're starting to right this ship. But there's only so far we're going to be able to move this. And I can't wait to find out what August 2nd will bring. What August 2nd will bring. I hope that the residents were notified this time for the housing plan that's coming out on August 2nd? I don't know, because I don't handle that. The planning board's supposed to handle that. I hope whoever is on that housing plan, if Melrose is on there, I hope you got noticed. If you know, this Kaplan site, National Lead, if it's on that plan, I hope the residents got noticed. We won't know until we find out on August 2nd who shows, and then come on back here for August 20 what?
4th?
21st?
21st?
So you got your August 2nd planning board meeting where we are all finding out what's going on with them, and then we get to come back here and find out as a council and as residents what we're going to do and what we can do. And that's with the help of a second set of eyes, a planner that was completely not involved in the beginning because we can't trust what was done before.
I just want to say in closing, I commend the members of the governing body who supported hiring of Susan Gruhl or anybody else to take another look at this. I'm not here to advocate for Susan Gruhl, but anybody who could take a look at it, and from what I hear and what I've heard on the street, it appears that Susan Gruhl has done a job, came in right from the start, and has worked on this. The communication between the governing body, that's for you people to decide. That's not a public issue. But the public is very concerned, and you saw it by the number of people that came here. And we're not going away. Let me tell you, we'll be here at August the 2nd. We'll be here August the 21st. Thank you.
Ken, I'd just like to say one more thing. Susan Gruhl is the one that found out that we never did the housing plan. So, I mean, already she's worth her weight in gold.
Or the master plan originally. She
Yeah,
found
we didn't
a
change
lot.
the master plan, I know.
A mess.
But then again, we had 3 people that weren't even reappointed.
Hello. Thank you for letting me speak.
I need your name and address, please, and the mic close.
Janice Benedetto from 1 Thomas Avenue in the Melrose section. Okay, we got to inform you of how this worked with the residents who are within the 200 feet. And again, I'm the only one on my side of Thomas Avenue that got anything. Okay, so Saturday, on Saturday's mail, okay, this past Saturday, okay, the 22nd of July, we got in 2 letters, okay? And I'm going to state this because it wasn't even done properly. One was certified with the green card torn off of it. I never signed for it. No one on Oak Street. We've talked to fellow neighbors. No one signed the green card, and yet they all were torn off. Okay? So whatever certified has not been properly notified to begin with. Okay, so we got a regular mail letter and a certified letter with the green card torn off, and not one of us signed for it. Okay, so we are acting because we care. Okay, and this is not a partisan type of thing. Right. I don't know whether my neighbors are whatever party. You know, they could be pink polka dot for all I care. I care about our neighborhood. Okay, so we right away, Saturday, banded together and went out on Sunday and put out flyers.
Thank you.
Okay? Melrose residents, we need your help again. Please come to the August 2nd, 2017 Planning Board meeting at 7:30 at Borough Hall as a show of support to stop the ordinance to build 163 housing units in Melrose. See the attached certified letter only a few of us received. And then we also talk about tonight's meeting. Okay? Now, you're telling me that none of you have seen the certified letter?
No.
Okay, well, the certified letter, I can pass it to you or I can read it. What would you prefer?
You could pass it up to our clerk, but just so you're aware, the rule is, and it's a law, that within 200 feet of the property, the affected properties are going to get the notice of certified mail. I don't think any of us live within the 200 feet, so we would not receive it from the planning board.
Okay, and you wouldn't get it even as part of the Borough Council?
No.
No.
Okay, well, the other thing is, you know, you said, did we get the housing plan, or we don't even have the current ordinance. It talks about...
Can you put the microphone closer?
Okay, sorry. It talks about the proposed housing element and fair share plan dated May 28th of 2016, last revised July 1st, 2017, prepared by John E. Leoncalvo, PP. And the proposed ordinance 366-17 titled An Ordinance Supplementing and Amending Article 3 of Chapter XXVI Land Development of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to permit inclusionary multifamily dwellings within the planned residential development district. So the ordinance that we received a copy of last time has obviously been revised.
Again.
And they're telling us that we have to take our time out of our work days because documents and any plans, if applicable, filed by the borough are available for inspection during regular business hours at the planning board office and municipal clerk at the Borough of Saraville Municipal Building located here. So the municipal clerk, I didn't have time today to come and try to see the documents, but are they on file here in the municipal clerk's office?
Yes? Yes.
All right, so
Clerk's
has
saying
the
yes.
ordinance been revised from what we were given for the June 26th meeting?
Yes.
It has been, but we have to come here, even though we're in 200 feet, and during working hours, to be able to see and prepare ourselves to represent our side of the story on August 2nd.
I'm going to ask our clerk to put it on the web, on our Saraville.com website, for everyone's view. Okay?
That would be very, very helpful, and we greatly appreciate it. And I have to apologize because I need to be educated, but I think other people in this audience also need to be educated. The planning board members, okay? How do they become planning board members?
Unfortunately, the mayor's not here again. The mayor appoints the planning board. Most boards and commissions are the mayor's appointment with the advice and consent of the council, with the exception of two boards, one of which being the planning board, where the mayor has sole appointment authority. So the council has no say over the authority. The council does appoint a member from the body, which at this last year was Mr. Grillo, this year is Mr. Lembo. So we are allowed to appoint someone to that board from our board. But it's all done through the mayor, by the mayor, and the mayor only.
And what do we do to change that in this town?
You can't.
Change,
That's governed by
it's-
state
No matter who the
statutes.
mayor is, the mayor has that point.
That
That's
is
state
a
statute.
state law.
Yes.
And you're only allowed one representative from the council on the board?
No, on the planning
No,
board.
planning board.
Planning board gets one
Planning
member.
Yeah, only one member. It's not like you can appoint more people.
No.
One.
And they act as liaison?
Also voting.
They're a voting member
They're
on the
a
planning
voting
board.
member.
Member. And how long a term do they have? How long is this planning board going to be in office, or do people rotate and come in?
It's a staggered term, 4 to 5 years? 4-year
years.
terms. The only ones that are different are the council. The council has a 1-year term, and the Board of Education has a representative too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a Board of Education member is a member as well.
So they're rotating terms, so people are always coming and going.
That way the whole
That's the
board
theory,
isn't
yes.
changed at the same
At the
time.
same time.
They
How-
all have 4-year terms, but like 2 might be replaced this year, 3 might be replaced next year, so that everybody isn't changing at once.
Okay, and how many people on the board?
9?
9?
9, I believe.
How many
9.
paid?
Oh, no board member is paid. Only the professionals are paid.
All right, so this John E. Leoncalvo is a paid
Yes.
by the
He's the
town?
paid planner.
All right, how many people do we have that we're paying,
We
we're
have
employing?
the engineer, the planner, and a secretary,
And
an attorney.
And the attorney.
And the attorney.
All right, I appreciate the education so that we know how this works, because it seems I can't fight state law at this point and what have you, but it seems like we need more qualified people because we're having all of these problems. It seems like there's been gross negligence on the part of people that are paid, and that maybe we're not appointing knowledgeable people who are, if they're not knowledgeable when they get appointed, are not doing what they can to learn their job. And we're suffering for it as residents, And we're suffering, if we're losing $1.3 million in legal cases
Oh,
because
yeah.
of poor planning. And I appreciate you giving me the time to speak. And I appreciate what you can do to have these plans and documents put on the website so people don't have to take time off from work and what have you to be prepared for the August 2nd
Harry,
meeting.
can we put that on the website?
And
Thank
just to
you.
clarify a little bit further, it's a 7-member body, 2 of which, we said 9, 2 of which are alternates. And then last year there was an issue where there was 3 members who were not reappointed in January, so they were short 3 members.
Oh, they were short.
Well, they were going to the meetings,
They
but
were
they weren't
serving,
appointed.
they just weren't
The mayor
appointed.
never appointed them.
And so their votes weren't legal.
All right, so you're saying there's 7 members, 2 alternates,
For a total of 9.
for a total of 9. And then we pay an engineer, we pay a planner, we pay a secretary, and we pay an attorney.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, and we're still having all of these problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Ruth Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. I'm back. I just want to say to the planning board people that are here, you kind of know how we feel now. You didn't get info, we don't get info either. I went to a planning board in March. Once again, I'll state it. I was by myself. It was the end of the meeting. I was treated disrespectfully. Quite frankly, I was told I was taking up the pizza time. I was told I didn't know where the Melrose Firehouse was. How does anybody know what I know? Okay? I know where it is. I passed it 3 times a day on the job I was on. And also at that planning board meeting, and this is upsetting as well as being told disrespectfully about pizza time. I was talking about the project for North Ernston Road, the 300 marketable rate apartments, which are near the high tension wires, the railroad, water. It was my understanding at the time it has to be, I guess, rezoned because there's wetlands and so forth. I was told, no, that's not true. I also was told they didn't have the railroad right yet, and that in this gentleman's opinion, I guess, that the 300 marketable rate apartments would not be built in his lifetime. Excuse me? Is he elderly? I don't know his age, but it seems maybe his lifetime's coming to an end. I don't know. They're going to be built. I also at that planning board meeting, and I know it's hard for the planning board people to continually being criticized, but because you don't have to answer to anybody, everybody has a lot of questions or criticisms. There was a gentleman there who wanted to build a 4-bedroom home, and I've said this before. He was told, no, you can't build a 4-bedroom home. You can build a 3-bedroom home because 4 bedrooms will cause overcrowding. Excuse me? What about 300 marketable apartments? What are they going to cause? No overcrowding? And as far as your planner and whatever, there was a mention of $10,000 that Saraville has spent for a planner. It was in one of the newspapers. So it was stated. Okay. I think you had said it wasn't stated to the public, but it was in the papers.
No, the secondary planner that was hired was voted on by the council
Right.
in, I think, June 12th, if I recall.
Right, I was here.
You know, I didn't say it wasn't
Yeah.
stated.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I misunderstood. I do apologize then.
You don't need to apologize.
Okay. So I'm upset. I've lived here only 14 years. I left a community that was getting crowded, East Brunswick. I lived there for 55 years. I left because it was not a pleasant place to be anymore. I moved here, very pleasant. I happen to rent, so I'm a renter. But I take pride in where I live and what's happening. This is very sad for this town. Very, very sad that one person, maybe not one person, but a particular builder can come in here and wipe out a wonderful place to live. Or that was a wonderful place to live. It's very, very sad. I don't know what's going to happen with the schools if this all occurs. What's going to happen with the police department? We don't have enough now. What's going to happen? What about ambulance service, fire service? We only have volunteers. How are they going to accommodate all these other people without somebody getting hurt or could die? There won't be enough services, and it's not their fault. You have to look at the people, not the builders. They'll survive. They always do. But the people aren't going to. And unfortunately, if you look at the school through what you see in the paper, which you can't believe everything, several schools are falling apart. The state reports it's falling apart. People aren't going to want to live here if there aren't good schools. And like I said, I was treated disrespectfully. I've never said that about that at these meetings from the planning board, but I was. And it's not appropriate for anyone on this side of the bench or that side to be disrespectful. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? If no other comments,
Move
I'll
the public
entertain-
portion be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this point, one of the things that came up at the last council meeting was regarding the actions of the planning board chairman and comments that were made and procedures that weren't followed, violating the Open Public Meetings Act possibly. The mayor wasn't at the last meeting. I was going to ask him if he would request the resignation of the planning board chairman. Thought he was going to be here tonight. Again, he wasn't here tonight. Again, I was going to ask him. So at this point, there is a procedure that the council can follow for removal of the planning board chairman. So I'm asking our attorney to send a letter out to the chairman to come in for a hearing, which would be at our August 21st meeting, to discuss his future on the planning board. As you can hear from our resident, being treated disrespectfully. Again, I listened to 3 meetings in a row where they went into closed session inappropriately, and my understanding is if you don't go into closed session appropriately, anything that happens during those meetings are null and void. So there were countless items that were discussed that might not even be able to affect, one of which I think is affecting COA. So at this point, I'm going to ask our attorney to just discuss the procedure and put that into place.
Your ordinance allows you to hold a hearing and remove the chairman, for cause. And your ordinance, I went over it with the clerk the other day. So you do have that right. I'll send a letter to the planning board chairman advising them that you will be holding the hearing on August 22nd? 21st. For the purpose of holding a hearing as to his continuation as chairman of the planning board.
Thank you.
Is there a procedure for a vote or discussion?
Okay. I make a motion that we, or Danny, if you made the motion, I'll second it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
under the need for transparency, which I've called for all year, I'll support this request. Vote yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Lembo?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn or any other business before the body?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now going to start the next meeting.
Can we?
Okay. If everyone could please rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, statement of publication.
Take notice that this agenda session of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 24th day of July 2017 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Here.
Grillo,
Here.
Kilpatrick, Lembo,
Here.
Melendez, Novak.
Yes.
Anyone have any comments on ordinance number 375-17?
Nope.
If not, we'll move on. Communications and reports, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I move that the following minutes and reports be received as listed under A, 1, 2, and 3.
Second. Anything else?
Yes, I'd like the approval for the application for bingo and raffle license as listed under the agenda, under B, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Also, under C, tax appeals as listed under the agenda. Under C, refer to the tax council.
Thank you.
And under D, authorization for the tax collector to extend the grace period for the third quarter 2017 tax payments from August 1st to August 22nd due to a delay in the tax certification.
Okay.
Okay, also, I would like to appoint Joan Lahaki of 56 Price seat to fill an open seat on the Commission on Aging.
Just for the record, this vacancy is open for longer than 30 days, so it is the council's. I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Carrie just got a little wrinkle.
Thank you.
But tell
Next
Mike,
item.
she spilled the water on it. With that, I'm done.
Okay.
Before,
Yes, ma'am.
can I just make one comment under
Absolutely.
administration? I would just like to take a moment
Yes.
of time to recognize our deputy clerk and congratulate her, that is Jessica Morales, for passing her state exam and obtaining her certification as a fellow registered municipal clerk. Kudos to Jessica.
As many of you
Thank
see,
you, Terry.
Jessica does come up and assist Terry with minutes, and then when Terry is out, she'll come out and help as well. So congratulations, Jessica.
Thank you.
Councilman Lembo?
Thank you, Council President. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The construction officials' report, zoning and code enforcement, all for the month of June.
Second.
Also, the fire prevention report for the month of June 2017.
Second.
Also to receive and file, notice to adjacent property owners, items 1, 2, and 3, receive and file.
Okay, second.
And need approval for an application received from ET Environmental for trailer license to place a temporary construction office trailer on Chevalier Ave. Need
Okay.
approval.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any other?
Other than that, progress, Council
Thank you,
President.
Councilman. Councilman Grillo, Public Safety.
Thank you, Council President. I move the following minutes and departmental reports be received and filed. The Municipal Court Administrator's Report for the month of June 2017, and the Board of Health Registrar and County Inspector's Report for the month of June 2017.
Second.
I need an approval for the Fire Department equipment to travel request received from Morgan Hose and Chemical Company No. 1 to attend the Keyport Firemen's Fair on August 3rd, 2017.
Any objections? Next item.
I need approval for a request received from the Sayreville Recreational Wrestling Program to conduct a coin toss on Saturday, October 14th and Sunday, October 15th, 2017, at the intersection of Washington and Ernston Roads.
Any objections?
That doesn't conflict with any events at Kennedy Park, does it?
Not in October, no.
No? Okay. And that's, I have a couple reports.
Okay.
Okay. First one is, as many of you know, I've started a group called the Morgan Community Alliance. It's a community group with the goal of revitalizing Route 35 and the surrounding neighborhoods. We have a bunch of businesses and residents who are participating. We had a really nice little get-together at the Ale House on Route 35. I want to thank those folks for hosting us. We are starting, if you're interested, we have a Facebook page, Morgan Community Alliance. Look them up. It's a public group. We're trying to get more folks on there. And actually, we're doing a photo competition through Labor Day, where we're calling it Click Morgan, Pick Morgan, having folks take pictures of their favorite parts of Morgan, favorite stores, folks they're friends with, and try to just promote the area. And then there'll be a couple gift certificates from local businesses that we'll give out at the end for the winning photos. And that is all, because I have to do Ricky's report later.
Oh, I have Ricky's report.
Yeah, you have Ricky's?
I do.
Okay.
You can.
If you'll
Doesn't
indulge
matter.
me, I just want to comment one thing when you get to it.
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kilpatrick?
Thank you, Council President. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Public Works Supervisor's reports for buildings and grounds, parks, recycling, roads, and sanitation and garage services, all for the month of June 2017.
Second.
Next, I have authorization to appoint 2 laborers in the Department of Public Works. Recommendations should have been found in your packet.
Any objections?
C, the complaint, we received the complaint, and the request was received from a resident of 46 Hillside Avenue to replace curb due to damage caused by snow plowing over the winter. It says refer to the DPW director. However, I'd like to amend that and actually refer that over to Jay Cornell to look into further.
Okay, Jay?
Okay, Jay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And that does it for me.
And then recreation?
And recreation for Ricky. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. That's the Recreation Director's report for the month of June 2017. And then I have the special event application, which was received from the Sarabrook residential community to conduct a community pool party with DJ and food trucks at their community pool and parking lot on August 12th, 2017, with a rain date of August 13th.
Any objections?
And I may need help with this. Doral Aquam School to conduct a prayer service in Kennedy Park on September 1, 2017 at 8 a.m.
Any objections?
Approve or deny.
Okay.
And then I have, did you want to speak now, or you want me to go through the rest of the director's report first?
Does he mention the library grant?
Yes, actually, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
I'm sure you could bring more to it.
You go first, and then I'll finish.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Under Ricky's report, as usual, we have Jerry S. Recreation Director has sent this over for updates for everyone. First, we would all like to thank Jerry S. and the Recreation Department and everyone else who helped at this year's Independence Day celebration, including the DPW, especially the Recreation Advisory Board and all the events sponsored. The movie In the Park is scheduled for August 26th to begin at 8 p.m. The feature this time is Disney's Moana, which is a rated G film. It is, of course, free admission at Kennedy Park, and remember to bring your beach chairs and blankets. In addition, the Yankee bus trip is August 25th. It is against the Seattle Mariners. There are limited tickets available. You can buy those tickets online at CervilleRec.com. They are $95 each. The seating is in section 129, the lower level field between third base and left field. The bus will be leaving at 4:15 on Friday from the Mickey Sedlak Recreation Center parking lot. And once again, we have registration for all of our fall programs beginning July 31st. That takes care of the rec update, but we also have a library update as well. To let everybody know, the library meeting room addition and construction expansion project is about to begin, and that will bring some changes and maybe some interruption with the library. The project will begin on July 31st, and it's anticipated to take about 150 days or 5 months. This is a long anticipated project. The library will remain open for the duration of the project. However, at certain times, the children's room may be periodically closed. The side parking lot facing the high school will be closed to patrons and used for construction vehicles only, so please be careful around that environment. The outdoor area behind the meeting room will also be fenced in to contain and protect the construction area. Dr. Labby, the superintendent of schools, has been asked to let students and parents know that the path behind the library will not be accessible in order to keep the children and people safe. He will also notify the track coaches and other coaches that runners will not be able to access or use that path during their track times. And then I'll defer that over to you for your update on your grant.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Ricky and I have been working with the Friends of the Library as well as the Library Board to secure a grant from the Richmond County Savings Foundation. Garden State Bank, right down the street here on Main Street, is part of that family of banks. I work with Richmond County in my professional life, and I was able to introduce the library to that bank foundation. And with Ricky's cooperation, we secured just under $10,000 for new laptops. And so everything is pretty much up and running now. They've received their grant, so we're very excited about that. It was a nice team effort between myself and Ricky, the Friends, and the Library Board. So hopefully this will be a nice future of additional grant money that they had never had before. They'd never tapped that source. Additionally, I don't know if he mentions it, but it was Susan Kaplan, our head librarian, our library director's last day 2 Fridays ago. And she's been a long-serving stalwart at the library, has done amazing things for our library. And so I want to thank Susan for all of her work and dedication to make our library, which is such an important part of our community, such a success.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll yield the floor back.
I'd just like to say something about Public Works. A family over on Smith Street actually took the time to write a thank you, and they specifically mentioned you, Jay, from CME, and the construction crew and the paving crew and the people from the water department and anybody involved in the repaving and the curbs on Smith Street. And I would just like to say that to say thank you to Tom and Debbie Zentek, because very rarely does anybody ever send a thank you in. You know, usually they take time to write a letter if they have a complaint, and it's so nice to receive a thank you once in a while. So I just wanted to bring that point up. Thank you.
Thank you. Under anything else, Councilwoman?
No.
Okay. Under Water and Sewer, I am moving that the Water and Sewer Director's reports for the month of June 2017 be received and filed.
Second.
And then, other than that, progress. We're going to move on to the Business Administrator's report. Wayne, would you go over that with us?
Okay, the, under Administration and Finance, authorization to use competitive contracting process to procure voice and data services. That was previously bid as a MPLS service, which expired, and our purchasing agent would like to use the competitive contracting process as opposed to the open bid process.
Any objections? Next item.
Authorization to auction radio equipment no longer needed by the borough. This is from the Public Safety and Public Works equipment. That's going to be no longer needed once the full system is in.
Okay.
Is up
Are
and
there any
running.
objections? And there's nothing else that we can do with it other than that, right?
Under Public Safety Fire, authorization to purchase turnout gear through state contract from Skylands Area Fire Equipment for a price not to exceed $34,959.12.
Okay, objections? Nope. Next
And
item.
A request for authorization to call for a police sergeant certification and police officer certification from the Department of Personnel.
Any objections?
I just have a question. Chief, are we going to have enough time? Becky says we won't get this list for hiring until August 1st. Now, don't we have to hire by the 15th of August?
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be enough time. We've had that discussion. We're hoping to be able to work as diligently as possible unless we come in, but we did have this discussion with business.
Because at the last meeting, we actually authorized the list to be certified at the last meeting. I don't know why it wasn't. I just wanted to check on that, because I know you have an awful lot to do in a short period of time. Okay.
Any other items?
Under Business Administrator, no. Under my agenda, I want authorization to cancel outstanding checks dating back prior to December 31st, 2016.
Bless you.
That'll be a resolution the next meeting.
Okay.
And I have an additional item. Dan had brought it up last meeting about the water problem in the basement, the intrusion of water in the basement, and on this consent agenda was authorization for the architect to do plans and specs I would like the council to entertain amending various improvement ordinance from 2011 that has monies available left over in it for the future use of the mitigating the problem downstairs in the basement.
Any objections?
You'll have the ordinance ready
I'll have
for
the
next
ordinance
meeting?
ready for introduction next meeting, and the public hearing will be the meeting afterward, just so it'll be in place after for when the specs are finally completed. and
As soon as, yes, so as soon as we introduce, we can go out to bid, and then we'll
Yes.
be ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any
Okay.
other items?
That's all I have.
Okay. Borough Engineer, Jay.
Thank you, Council President. The first item, at the first part of your meeting, you adopted the ordinance and awarded the contract, so no action is needed at this time. Second item is Bellows Sports Club. Prior to getting a CO, they had to post a bond for incomplete work. That work's been completed, so we'd ask a resolution at the next meeting releasing that bond. And the same for the Jesus House. They had posted a bond prior to getting a CO. That work's been completed, so we're recommending a resolution at your next meeting releasing the bond. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have 2 questions for Jay under roadway paving and reconstruction project. First, let me just say thank you to everybody, to Wayne, to Jay, for making sure that our $3 million road improvement budget ended up getting passed, put through, and that way we can move forward with the roads that we had originally planned to do this year, and the residents are going to actually see road paving being done.
Okay.
We'll have
Look,
the open
this
public.
isn't
We'll get in the open public in a moment.
Now, my second question, though, this is where my question is, as part of some of the projects that we are looking to do, there's 2 that I would just like to know if we have an update on. Hercules Village and Pulaski. Now, Pulaski, it's my understanding that before we were going to do that, we needed to get some input from our water and sewer department. I don't want to see these projects pushed out even further past the time that we've allotted to try and get them done. Do we have a status on what is holding up both of those projects at this point? Because it's my understanding it's not the money issue, it's some other things.
That's correct. Actually, both projects are back in design. We had some issues with Pulaski Avenue, not only with water and sewer, but with some storm sewer lines, and Public Works was able to go in and try to assist us in determining where those lines are and what needed to be replaced. So that is moving forward, and the same thing with the Hercules Village. We had an outside consultant come in and TV inspect the line, so we do have that information now. So that project is being designed as well. So both are moving forward.
Okay, so they are moving forward. Could we get an update on that? We don't know how long it's going to take them to finish that information to come forward.
The Pulaski Avenue is DOT funded, so
Okay.
we just recently had Public Works finish what they needed to do. That's gonna have to go to the state before it can go to bid.
Okay.
So that is something that was not included in this most recent ordinance. We're gonna have to do a separate ordinance once we get the state approval.
Right, that's
So
what.
hopefully that'll happen over the next couple months, and we'll have to determine whether it's gonna be a fall or a spring project.
Okay, keep us posted, because I don't want I don't want anything falling through the proverbial cracks here, so we can move these projects along. Thank you, Jay.
Are we up against the time frame for spending those grants that we got for Pulaski?
No, we're still okay with the
We
timeframe,
still got,
yes.
okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Borough Attorney's report?
No report, Mayor. I have a question, if you'll permit. Mike, I know you've been going back and forth with the attorney from Sheffield Muse off of Main Street. I can't believe I have to say this, but we have a rooster problem.
Yes, yes, there was, I got that.
There are things that happen,
Yes.
roosters.
Apparently, a rooster was waking everyone up in Sheffield Muse. I spoke to council on Friday, and was it Thursday?
Maybe
And
it's
then-
still a bedroom community.
then apparently he was walking down Main Street, and there was an issue.
Yep.
But I did speak to an attorney from Greenbaum Row. I spoke to the borough clerk on Friday. We sent it to the
Just when you want to be a council person, these are the things that happen to you.
yeah, animal control on Friday. I sent an email to the attorney from Greenbaum Row on Friday. Also, let him know that the rooster is back in the hen house and
Taking care of
under
business.
control at this point in time. But we still have the animal control officer is investigating to see if
And
there's-
should there continue to be an issue, it's my understanding from the attorneys that this would require a amendment to our noise ordinance. It's not an animal control issue.
There is an issue whether it's permissible, to be honest with you.
We don't have anything in our, I introduced the legislation last year for animal tethering and exposure.
Right. So
I omitted roosters, but Sometimes these are those moments when Danny laughs at liberal Steve. But what should we do here? Should we
Well, what I
amend
would
the
do is-
animal control ordinance, or should we amend the noise ordinance?
Well, my suggestion is you would probably amend the animal control ordinance to prohibit it. But that being said, let's wait until the animal control officer gets back and gets a report. Hopefully, he'll come back this week with respect to his report.
Would you please keep me appraised, because if he recommends that we change the ordinance, I'd like to do it at the next meeting, since we have a month in
As
between.
soon as I hear whether the eggs are scrambled or on, we're good.
See, if you guys stay for the late show, it turns to
Roosters
comedy.
don't lay eggs.
Thank you, Mike.
Anything else? If not, at this point, I'm going to open up the public portion for any all comments. Yes, sir, you raised your hand last meeting, I'm sorry.
I'm Jack Sikorsky, Hilltop Avenue. I'd like to know, if I was brought up the subject, and the Army Corps of Engineers is supposed to be notified or contacted about the Main Street bypass. Has anything been done about that?
Actually, just today, the Army Corps has introduced a public notice concerning the project. So it is moving forward at the Army Corps level. There's a 30-day comment period. So if you wanted to comment on the project, there is, if you go to the Army Corps' website, there's a public notice that's been issued. So they are moving forward with the permit process.
Well, I don't have a computer to do that. That's why I'm here asking you people. You were supposed to have come up with an answer. Now I'm asking, is there an answer? You were supposed to contact the Army Corps of Engineers.
I'm telling you the answer. They were reviewing the permit. The next phase in their process is to have a public comment period. So they're now soliciting comments on the pending permit application.
You know, when were they contacted? I brought this up a few weeks back.
We've been working with the Army Corps for the past 5 years on the project.
Well, what's taking so long?
The Army Corps, their time frames has taken, the town actually had input from legislators to try to get them to move forward with it. So it's not anything the town hasn't done, it's just the way the Army Corps handles permit applications.
Well, I think if you put the pressure on them, something ought to happen. Just like anything else, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
That's how we got farther than.
That's how we got farther in the process. I've never seen anything. You talk about gridlock. I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers, it's ridiculous.
That project's been laying idle for how long now?
Jay was nice enough last year to turn around and compile a timeline of all of the communications and the stalling of this project over the course of, almost 10 years. Yeah. And luckily, and he said we had to get a hold of legislators, and I reached out to Frank Pallone. He was able to move it at least through the last phase. Then it was, now we have to do permitting. They're holding off on permitting. So I made another call again to try and put pressure again. We did a lot here as a council, really, really pushing them hard. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen something so it's
you know,
crazy.
it doesn't help the traffic on Main Street.
My last letter was in reference to them needing to look at our news and watch our town council meetings, because with these COA units coming in the event that all of the ones that were in the original plan, they're all concentrated over on Main Street, we will be in a virtual gridlock and will not be able to move out of this town without that bypass coming in. And I'm hopeful, I was going to ask you that too. I think maybe, I don't necessarily think that my words carry that much weight with the Army Corps of Engineer, but I'm hoping that having seen that and the press that we're getting about that, the COA, maybe that's what finally made them move to put something into a public notice to start that permitting phase. I don't know how inundated that permitting phase is, but I can only assume this is a belabored process too. It's crazy. I've never seen anything.
So
And
we
the
don't
money
have
is
any
ridiculous.
idea on a time frame. I want to get an answer.
Well, we're going to keep pushing Jay, and I have to give it to Jay because honestly, you always help whenever we've had to push and prod. And just be loud. Just be loud. I'm going to be loud. He's going to be loud. And we have to push the Army Corps of Engineers. My concern is the longer we wait to have to contact them, then it costs us money to have our professionals go on to the next phase. So now not only losing time, we're losing money. I can't, it's
I think it's
obnoxious.
time to bring it to a head.
I agree. I don't know how else to do it other than keep bugging, keep aggravating them.
Another thing I'd like to ask you, do we have a street sweeper in town?
We do. We do. We have.
Are we
one-
saving that or what? Because I never see it out there.
No, well, actually, Councilman Grillo and I, we had a long conversation about this. We actually had two. One was broken. They got it repaired. The amount of time and the amount of manpower it takes us to move that thing, it's not the most effective and efficient way to get anything done. And we went through a whole bunch of different scenarios. What did we say? It takes approximately 5 months to do. What was the breakdown? Do you remember, Steve?
I think what it came
It was
down to
crazy.
is something like if you ran the street sweeper for 8 hours a day, every day,
Yes,
you could do each street twice in a whole year.
in an entire year.
Not really effective to get
But-
your
and
street
that's
Well,
not counting winter.
I like to see one on my street, not just once a year. Only around election time, I see a street sweeper come on my street.
Well, trust me, it's not coming for election purposes. It's coming for when it's running. And out of that year, that would be if every single day was a spring day and there was no rain, no snow, no sleet, no hail. I'm going to be honest with you, there's got to be a better, more effective way of doing it. Other towns purchase multiple of these pieces of equipment. How expensive are they? Wayne, how expensive? They're hundreds of thousands of dollars, these things. It's,
Definitely over $100,000.
yeah. And then the employee
Well, I don't
to
know, we
work it.
buy an awful lot of equipment in this town. Why we can't keep the street sweepers going?
I
And tell
would-
them the next time they come on the street, make sure the brushes are in good shape, that they're hitting the ground, not up in the air.
I will, yeah, I agree.
I seen where somebody told me that make it look good. That's it.
And the machines themselves are crazy, but this is what I will recommend that you do. And anybody, your street is muddy, your street is dirty, it looks, just call over to DPW. Rose, Elise, somebody will pick it up. They will come out, they will turn around, and if it's a time where they can bring someone out, they'll do it. They
Yep.
definitely will.
But like I said, is there one out there every day?
There's not a no, we asked about a schedule of it, and there's not a
This
schedule of
town is
roads.
awful big. We should have one or two of them or more out there every day.
We should have more than
Because-
46 people in DPW, period.
But
to
I'm
do
just
everything.
saying, the streets are in pretty bad shape as far as dirt and
I agree.
grime is concerned.
I agree.
It's time for us to clean it up.
I agree. Invest in infrastructure, and that means everything. I agree. Thank you.
Next item? Yep, come on up, Ms. Strick. You'll come up next, yep. Right after this.
Just a quick, Eddie Streck, 58 Nickel Avenue, just to follow up on Mary Novak's regarding the Department of Public Works on a corner of Nickel Avenue, Nickel and Winkler. There was a killed in action veteran sign desecrated on 3 different occasions. Joe McCoy and 2 laborers from the Department of Public Works. First time it was torn out of the ground. Second time it was bent over. And the third time it was ripped out of the ground, concrete and all. They came and repaired it. And it's sad that someone can desecrate a sign of a World War II veteran that was killed in action. So I commend the Joe McCoy and the 2 laborers that repaired the sign. I'm keeping a close eye on it now, and probably so is Wayne, because he's right next door also. Regarding the Department of Public Works, just a quick comment. In July of 1995, Congressman Pallone came to the American Legion. I was commander at the time, and he had a plan for rectifying the flooding on Weber Avenue. Berms, dams, gates that was going to stop the flooding. Well, you can all see where that went. The second comment on the Army Corps of Engineers, if you have a chance to read the American Legion magazine, there's a 5-page article on the Army Corps of Engineers. They have 37,000 employees, generals, lieutenant colonels, all kinds of officers, and also civilians. But I don't want to wish the borough any bad luck because they have a project now that has been going on for 30 years. It is still not completed. Now, in my opinion of the Army Corps of Engineers, they should stick to fighting wars and building bridges. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, come on up. You gotta just be close.
I'm going to start singing.
Go ahead.
My name is Pamela Malik. I live on Smith Street in Saraville, where the road construction was, and we have problems. Mr. Cornell, I have spoken to you, and you were very nice to me.
Yeah, you gotta speak into the mic so we can hear you.
Okay. I have called you, and I invited you to come over my house and go over what's going on the street in front of my house. That they put up curbing across my driveway and in front of my house, which they say is 2.5 inches, but if you go by the curb on the top, it is a little higher. This man, the last time I spoke to him, told me I don't have a driveway. I lived there for over 40 years, and my grandparents lived there before me. I had spoken, are you from CME?
No, I'm a councilman.
Oh, okay.
He's from CME.
You're from the construction, though?
No.
No.
That's Councilman
Okay.
Grillo. Next to him is our engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had spoken to the people that were doing the work, and I spoke to them on a daily basis that I have a driveway. Wasn't traditional. I can pull it up on my Google. I can show you the one that it was originally. I can show you what they did.
Terry, if you could.
This is what they did. Originally, when Mr. Mescal started the plans, he told me I would have a concrete apron in my driveway. No one seems to remember this conversation for some reason. They can't recall it. Because I even questioned it because I said it's going to look silly out there because I didn't know where the curbing was coming in. So he even mentioned that I had a sign up there where it says no parking on the tree. And he's telling me now I don't have a driveway. Everyone from CME, who I spoke to on a daily basis, we had a supervisor on the street named John. Every day, he would tell me it's in his plans. He'll take care of it. Every day I came home, something new. I now have a curb in front of my driveway and in front of my house. I have blacktop behind that. I questioned it. He said, that's my apron, my driveway apron. But he's telling me I don't have a driveway. Now, let me see if I can Google.
Jay, if you could.
Hey, I can answer, Mayor.
I think my phone died.
I don't think the direction was that you don't have a driveway. You did not have a concrete driveway prior to the start
You
of
told
construction.
me I don't have a driveway at all.
No, you have a depressed curb with
tell you.
pavements
Ma'am,
where
let
your
him finish.
existing driveway is located. You had an existing driveway area on the side of your house that was not designated by a concrete apron. When the borough went through and did the improvements, a depressed curb and asphalt was put in, so you still would have access to that area on the side of your house. The town does not upgrade residents' property.
You told me I had blacktop in my driveway. Here's my driveway. Not you, but Mr. Mescal.
You've spoken to probably 4 or 5 people from our office, and we've all
Oh,
told you the
yes,
same thing.
I spoke to quite a few, a couple of times.
Right.
And you keep telling me the same thing, but each one of you at the end of the conversation says, I don't have a driveway.
That's not
I called
correct.
him over, said,
You have an improved driveway over what you had before. You don't have a paved driveway, you don't have a concrete driveway. You have a grass area
yes,
that
I
had
did,
access
which
from
I
the road.
had brick.
You still have that.
I don't have brick. I got blacktop.
You have a depressed curb, so you can still access the area
First
it
of all,
was before.
why am I going over a curb? Why are you telling me I could go over a curb? For over 40 years I drove, never do I want to drive over a curb.
As part of the upgrade of the roadway, concrete curb was installed to improve drainage as well as to preserve the
Right,
integrity
we
of the
didn't have a
roadway.
problem with drainage. We had no problem. I live on a hill. We had no problem with water going down.
You did have problems because
No,
the
no,
edge
we
of
never
the,
did.
well,
You
the,
never heard a complaint.
the edge of the roadway has eroded over time, partially because of the lack of curbing. You had washouts along the shoulder of the roadway.
Let me show you my,
I know what the Google Maps show. I've seen it. We've talked a number of times. All the inspectors and other engineers in my office have explained it to you.
I've been one of the people that have been trying to get our road paved since I don't know when. Continuous potholes, especially in front of my driveway. It shows it right here.
Which is why the borough went through and did the work on the road.
I was happy that they were coming to pave the road. We didn't want curbing. I lost in front of my house 4 feet of where I parked my car. My house is right on the street. You're telling me to go over curbing.
You have a depressed curb along the front of your property.
What's the main word here? Curb. Why am I driving over a curb?
You're driving over a depressed curb just as anybody else in the borough that has a driveway has a depressed curb.
When I started driving, you didn't drive over curbs. You would fail your driver's test. Today.
Right.
I think the
Jay, if I
residents
could.
she's not happy with
Right.
the fact that there's curb.
I understand that. The policy with the borough is when you pave a street, we fix the curbs up. Everyone
tell me
everyone
each
who
one
everyone
is
who
the
gets
same.
everyone who goes into their driveway goes over what Jay is explaining is a depressed curb. It's not a full curb, it's a depressed curb.
Here's
So
measurements that I went down our street from each driveway, and I took Quaid Street, each driveway. Quaid Street, there are some that I couldn't take a measurement on because it's level with the road, which is what it should be. You should not have to go over a lump to get into my driveway or to park in front of my house. Nobody has the same. Mine is one of the higher ones, 2.5. They told me they were coming on, let me see when the last time I talked to him. I talked to Jeff Gerstacker or whatever the hell his name is, I'm sorry.
And what we indicated was that there's a punch list of items that the contractor still has to complete. And it's not only your property, but there's other driveways that they're gonna come back and put a ramp in.
It's
to
been
try
a
to-
month.
There's not a specific date that the
Right,
contractor.
12 years from now, because when I went to ask for the paving of our street, they told me we were scheduled between 6 and 8 years.
The contractor's not being paid until that work is completed.
they have to go through the punch list before they get paid, so.
I'm sorry?
They have to go through the punch list, which is what Jay is explaining to you. So there's items on there that have to be met before we do the payments.
And they're telling us that we got what we had before. None of us got what we had before. I have 3 other people here today that came with us. I put out notes out. If anybody wants to come, I'm coming to the meeting to complain.
Jay, so the curbing that she's referring to, the depressed curbing, is up a little, so it gives that, when you're driving over it.
Control the drainage in the street, you have a depressed curb.
So when they go through the punch list, are you saying that they're gonna go reassess, look at that, and then make it so that it's not that?
They're telling me for
Is
the
that-
driveway, they'll,
Well, that's what I want clarification, that's what I'm assuming. Is that what's gonna happen when they?
I know this resident and some others had raised concerns about the reveal on the depressed curb. And
Okay.
my office had met with them, and we advised them that we could have the contractor come back and put additional asphalt in to reduce the reveal on the curbing, and that's
So
something.
you don't
that's-
have
came
that
back and said
change
it's
in
gonna
grade?
be
Okay, I think I
just in the
understand.
driveway, only an inch. The rest of my house is exact same with the blacktop and the curbing, and they still want me to go over that to park. I'm not going over curbing. So now I've lost 4 feet more into the road.
Well, you didn't lose your property. This is all being done within the borough right-of-way, not your property. And there's
Excuse me. It's in front of my property. I believe I have a comment to make.
I'm not saying it, but you didn't lose
I'm a
any
taxpayer.
of your... You did not lose any of your property, is what I'm trying to say. It's done within the borough's right-of-way.
I lost parking area.
Because you don't want to drive over a depressed curb.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm not driving over curbs.
And in order to
I was
address...
always explained never to drive over a curb.
In order to address your concern, we talked about having the contractor put additional asphalt in front of that area for you.
Well, they need to actually give me what they said they were going to give me. Concrete.
I think you misunderstood the original conversation a year ago when the person was walking the street looking
No,
at
no,
the-
no. This was not a year ago.
Well,
This was like a month before. This was planning. Yeah, but when did they come?
Ma'am,
They came
ma'am.
not a year ago.
yeah,
Gotta address
my
this.
inspector had plans that showed exactly what was going to be done in front of every registered property.
Show your plans, because they told me it was in the plans.
It's not in the plans. That's why it wasn't done. You did not have a
They
concrete
told
driveway
every
originally.
time I question it. It's in my plans, I'll take care of it. It's in my plans, I'll take care of it.
You did not have a concrete driveway to start with, so that's
Right,
why
I
we
didn't,
didn't.
and that's why I questioned it. And even John Mescal, when he said that, he had papers in his hand, went like this. He's gonna make me a concrete apron.
A concrete depressed curb,
Concrete depressed curb.
which is what you have, yes.
Height.
Which we're going to go through in an attempt to address to your satisfaction. And what we indicated, not necessarily to you, but I know the other neighbor that maybe has some issues, that we could take it out and remove it and replace it to reduce the reveal. But I believe he agreed that he would allow us to try to ramp it, and if he liked it, we'd leave it, and we could, if not, the contractor could come back and address his depressed curb.
Well, I had said, I'm not driving over curbs. The word curb, first of all, how many of you drive over curbs? No matter what kind of curb. Raise your hand if you drive over curbs.
It's just the continuation of the actual curb. It's a depression in front of your driveway so you can drive up it, but the continuation of the curb.
My driveway.
I have a curb. I
Met
do
the
have to
road.
drive over the curb. I know what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying. It's raised
Yeah.
up more.
Mine
raised
is
up more,
higher
but-
too, and I get water in front because I have something called a monolithic curb, which I shouldn't even know what that means, but I do. And so I have to, and I have a gap.
Step.
But I understand what you're saying too, but at least I'm hearing from what Jay's saying is that the contractor, when they finish with whatever the remaining job points are, they want to
They
come
kept
back
saying,
and
wait
make,
till the road's finished.
and at
wait
least
till the road's
try and
finished."
remedy. I don't want you driving
Like-
over massive humps and stuff. Like, if they're saying that they're going to be able to either do a ramp if it's amenable to the resident, or cut the curb out so that they have that flat without, I mean, that's at least, they're saying they're going to address it. I don't want it left where they don't
No,
address it.
There's a
That's-
punch list of item. Any
that's-
resident that called with that concern, we met with them, we reviewed options, and we indicated we would have the contractor take care of it. It's on the
You told
current
me,
punch list.
I've called them and they said they had no complaints other than mine. I seem to get everybody's complaint on the street. I don't know if I'm the complaint department.
I'm pretty sure they're going to see this and they're going to know it's a pretty substantial complaint now.
There's areas where there's dead sod. There's other items that are on the punch list that have to be taken care of before the contractor's
understand
paid
that.
and before the job is closed out.
Yeah, we don't pay them unless, when we have a.
Don't pay them at all.
Yeah, no, we won't.
I'm not happy.
Because we have to then
I
have
other
somebody
people
come
that are
and
not-
do
you
an
can come talk to
inspection.
anybody on our street.
Right, Jay? Then we go in and do an inspection to make sure that's appropriate, and we don't release any money to them until people are satisfied. This is something.
I had asked for an inspector. They sent me the same guy I talk to every day to talk to me. I'm sitting there waiting for somebody else.
You spoke with probably 3 or 4 different people from my office concerning this issue.
But they sent me John, the road supervisor. Everybody else, just that one Jeff, gets whatever his name is. That finally came out at 8 o'clock in the morning while I was just waking up. And, excuse me. And, he again tried, more or less bullied me. I live in an alley. Everybody there lives in an alley. I don't have a driveway.
getting upset. She's getting upset.
Thank you.
Can we make
Okay.
sure that this gets
Yes.
addressed and that we stay
It
up
sounds,
to
it
date on
sounds
the?
to me like, you know, we're talking similarly. We're gonna have Jay make sure he stays on top of it, regarding all the residents over there who have an issue, to make sure it
I
gets
spoke to him, and
accomplished.
it's like talking to a wall.
Well,
But now you brought it to us too, so now we know to kind of pressure Jay and see where we are with this too.
so we're gonna keep Jay on it and make sure that he's on top of it with all the residents to make sure that, you know, we get you where you can get. Okay?
I think we all understand.
There's gonna be a
your
point
concern.
where it might not get everyone's satisfaction, but we're gonna get as close as we can and get the understanding that we could.
We have them, that they
So-
replaced rocks. The rocks are all in the road. They're coming out because these people have to drive over them. They're leaving ruts where they, you know, are. My one neighbor.
Because it's still an active area, they're still doing the improvement, right, Jay?
There's still punches on it.
There's
Any,
still-
any resident that has a concern,
Once they're
I would
gone,
ask
they're
that they
gone.
call and
You
we'll
don't
make
see
sure
them
it's taken
again.
They
care
won't get paid. That,
But
that's
they
what
won't
I'm
be
saying with the
gone
check-
until they
have
get
the
their money.
checklist.
They very
They have the
rarely
punch list where they
leave.
have to
Okay.
go. They're not gonna go anywhere. They wanna get paid.
Well, you don't see any of them. And like I said, everybody on the street seemed to have a complaint for one reason or another, with the rocks, with the blacktop, with the whatever you did. So I suggest don't pay them. I mean, to look at the street, it does look like a landing pad. And the cars do treat it as that now, because we have pizza that needs to be delivered by 2 minutes or less by the pizza place. They go down like 60 miles an hour. So, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm glad the road was paved, but we didn't want the other stuff.
All right, thank
Because
you.
we wanted the holes gone.
You do know you're an anomaly. Almost every other resident comes up saying they want curbing.
Yeah.
So this is a first for us,
Well,
but
you
I
know what? I
understand.
prefer getting the holes back, take the curbing out.
Thank you.
And they asked me if I wanted that, by the way, and I did say yes. That was one of their comments. So my cohorts here would like to talk.
Thank you.
And by the way, I forgot to mention this, I'm sorry. While they were working, the trucks on the road, the vibrations to my house, because I was their stopping place. I had 4 trucks filled with the tar, plus hay loader things or whatever. One day from before 8 o'clock in the morning, when I left at 4:30, when I got to where I was going, I asked them if I was standing still, because my house vibrated the entire day. The fumes from those trucks, because they were not shut off. I could not have my windows open. Now, the rest of the 3-month period, not 3 months, 3 weeks, I had all the vibrating also. I also had a problem with my sewer backed up. Cost me $275. I want this noted because if I have any other problems, they're going to take care of it. Because I know 3 pipes broke down the street. Right, that one was the night that they finished the paving. Across the street was 2, and they repaired it again for the one. So I'm just hoping my pipes don't break or anything else fall apart.
Thank you.
Gina Countoni, 33 Smith Street. I live directly across the street from Pam. I think she's feeling maybe disrespected as well. They're construction gentlemen. We are an area of single women. This other woman here is my other neighbor. There's 4 of us right there. When you come out and talk to construction workers continually, and Pam did go continually, and I did speak to Gentleman John and his superior, I guess, on the letter that came. When you go multiple times and try to talk to them, and they kind of disregard you, bully you, several men do come up at once. Pam was out in her robe speaking to people very early in the morning, I saw. It gets uncomfortable, and you do feel disrespected and disregarded. I have 8 foot of stone where I had 2 foot of grass. I was not given what I had. I would have taken 2 foot of stone. Yes, the road looks more attractive. It has changed. It's a one-way street down. And people are allowed to park on both sides of our street. When you go down our street now, it is very dangerous. You are, in fact, zigzagging. People pull their children out of the street. The sidewalks and curbing did create a bit of an issue. I understand it was made to be more safe, more attractive, better. But again, I'm this big car. I'm one of the few houses I do not own a driveway. The house came without one. So now I have to park this car all the way up. You can see, you can have the photo. There's stones all out in the street every single day. I kick them back in. They're actually damaging the street. The picture part that I circled is a hole. It's been extremely hot. Tar gets hot, I guess. All these stones keep going out every day. My car's very heavy. I think the Grand Marquis is 4,000 something pounds. I'm crushing them into the street that they just made. There are only 4 or 5 homes that have the stone, rather than a little more blacktop. I have the largest area, 8 foot out by about 25 foot long. They could have easily blacktopped or cement for, I'm thinking, minimal money. Quaid is the one way up. It has maybe they all had cement, ugly, old, 100, 200-year-old, whatever, cement. Maybe that's why they did it. I was told, you get what you had. It is a waste of the money putting that bluestone there. It's coming out every day. And if that street sweeper comes down our street, you better not be outside with a dog or a child or something. You'll be pelleted with stone. My house is at the top. The gentleman rents over there in the 40s, up at the beginning of the street by Rose. It goes all the way down by 21 or 25. I tried quickly to get house numbers as I was coming. And Pam is not kidding. She is also not going up the curb. This is her white car across from mine. If I do not park up on the stones, and I'm that far out into the street, forget the school buses from Wilson. Forget the garbage truck. When neighbors have people come over and park behind me, or I have a guest, sometimes people come and honk because they don't understand to pull up on my stones, even though I'm parked there. They think it's because I'm a giant car. And they park next to the curb. Another car can physically not come by. Now, I'm not opposed. I think the curbing is too high. It is over 2 inches in a lot of places. And on Quaid, it is very flush and very flat. Much nicer job. Again, they are one way up, we are one way down, so it's easy to compare. I'm not opposed to pulling up on it. It is a waste of money to have not thrown a little blacktop there. My father co-owns the home with me. He even called up the gentleman and offered some cash. Could we put money towards it to just blacktop it over so it's not just washing out in the street? It's very new. I'm already putting ruts into it. I'm just one lady with no driveway pulling in and out. I'm not like with a bulldozer or anything heavy weight there, and it's unsightly. And again, if you go down the street, you will notice stones coming from the other 4 or 5 houses. It seems to be a waste of money, and we did try to speak to somebody about the concerns, and it was semi-spoken about, a little disregarded. And Pam is not parking up the curb. And if I don't, or I don't pull up far enough, you will see when school starts again, an issue with the buses getting down the street. And again, if you ever come down, when there are people on both sides of the street, which they're entitled to park, we are weaving in and out as we go down. It has become very tight with the curbing and the extension of cement and however they chose to do it. And I would have loved to have just had 2 foot of whatever. It comes 8 foot and then the curb. I didn't even know, is that my property? Is that the town's property? I don't even know. That's way out there in the street with her and her 4 foot loss. That's why she mentioned her 4 foot loss. Between that extension with my property and hers, it's kind of ridiculous. Again, I do appreciate the fixing of it. It was actually breaking my car. Quaid was breaking my car. And I called about it, and that's how I found out ours was being done this following year. But it could have been done to a better degree. And I hope when they do come, they take some of these things into account.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, did you call our office and raise the concerns about the stone?
Several times. The gentleman that was on
I don't have
ditto.
the punch list. I don't have the punch list here, but
3 times I spoke to him, and once my father, maybe twice my father spoke to him. Because again, he's on the deed with me.
If you called our office and raised concerns, then it's on the list of items to be taken care of.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Tom Elko, 17 Smith Street. I do want to say that I have reached out and we've discussed several different options to fix the apron in front of my house. However, I did reach out to our police force about getting no parking signs across from my driveway, because now there's only 2 houses on our street that have a 4-foot sidewalk in front of it. One is my house, and one is 15 Smith Street, right next to me. We had retaining walls put in front, so we could expand the parking and make it wider for people to park.
I think it died out. Hold on one second, sir. Can you switch?
I have a gym voice, so. So basically, my dilemma is putting in a 4-foot sidewalk also now cuts down my radius on getting in and out of my driveway. Okay, so directly, if I do not pull in forward and reverse my truck out, I can get out because of my neighbor's driveway behind me I have to go into. If I have to back out or back into my driveway to remove tools from my truck, and I go to pull out forward, I do not have a turn radius to be able to fully turn without doing a K-turn out of my driveway. I've contacted Sergeant Steve, whatever in charge of traffic, several times, left messages, have not gotten a response. I'm looking for some no parking signs across from my street, okay? I have friends who are cops in other towns. One-way streets, you're not supposed to be able to park behind someone's driveway. It's a huge dilemma going down our street, as my neighbors have said, it's like a slalom course. You're going left, you're going right, you're going left, you're going right. I appreciate the sidewalk and everything, but to be honest, the sidewalk in front of only 2 houses at maybe 100 feet, what is the point? Okay, it took away valuable parking space and road space that allowed for either my family and friends or my neighbor's family and friends to park. Now every day, there's almost a fight or a dilemma with people trying to park on the street. Nobody knows where to park, and it's becoming a real headache. Luckily, I have a driveway that's big enough I could fit 3 or 4 cars if I squeeze them in. However, not everybody else has that luxury. It's becoming a real headache for our neighbors. So it's something I know we've talked to, and I talked to John and them. They've been pretty responsive with addressing the 2.5-inch apron curb that I have in my house, let alone now I'm getting new wheel bearings on 2 axles of my truck because of the hump that I have to pull in and out. I'm not asking anybody to pay for that bill, but I'm asking for someone to address it and fix it. Okay, it's been done over a month ago, and I know they have punch lists, and I know there's a sinkhole, and every time it's an excuse, but it's something that is affecting me, and it's affecting the rest of my neighbors. So we would like something to be addressed sooner than later on the issue. Okay?
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hello. I live at 28 Smith Street.
And your name?
My name is Fran Sigmund.
Thank you.
I have this 2-inch curb going all the way across my property. And when I come into the driveway, I have a driveway, and when John was there, when they started the project, he said, oh, they're going to do a nice apron, and he told my neighbor Pam also, everything's, I didn't get what I wanted. Here I have a curb going all over the place, and when I go into my driveway, I go bump, 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 bump. And it's terrible. And we really didn't need curbs because we're living on a hill, and we have no problem with drainage. The road, the water goes down the, and when I look on Quaid Street, when they had theirs done last year, their driveways are nice and they're level, they're not high like ours, and it's terrible.
Did Jay, you received this complaint?
I have the address. I'll check the list.
And when we would talk to John, he was always around. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Well, the project got done, and it's not good.
Okay. Jay, yeah, we're gonna look at the whole street and.
Yeah, I hope so.
We will. Thank you for your coming up. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the public portion be closed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Get out of here. Go, 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 go.